Welcome to the PT Marketing Power Hour, highlighting successful marketing strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. We have another great episode today, so don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, here's your host, physical therapist, marketing expert, and CEO of Practice Promotions, Neil Trickett.
Hi, welcome to the Marketing Power Hour, highlighting successful marketing strategies from North America's fastest growing clinics so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. I'm your host, Neil Trickett, and today's focus is around helping your practice build online reviews and its online brand. And today I have the great honor of introducing Ujjwal Shakya here for you. He's with MMA and Sports Rehab in Arlington, Virginia, correct?
Right.
Excellent. Great. And hey, we met about 4 years ago, right?
Correct. First of all, I'd like to say very thank you for Neil. And I still remember, what was this, like 2016, we met at the Ascent conference through WebPT in Fort Worth, Texas. And remembering you still, asking you, how can you help me? And back then I was single, one-man army. And just myself with my practice, and your idea was building a great website, and that stuck with me, and the rest is history, and here we are.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so can you tell our audience today, just like, how's your practice growth been over these last 3 years?
It's been great. I can complain. And today's topic, we're talking about a lot of reviews and online presence and website, and that's what it's all about actually for us as an MSR. I remember, I will tell you guys a little bit of story about how we started. My family is an MMA, in mixed martial art. My brother-in-law, he's a professional fighter. I myself train in MMA, mostly in Muay Thai, which is basically Thai kickboxing. And one day in 2015, my sister-in-law came up with an idea of how about we set up a Yelp account, and back then, I never thought a Yelp account and physical therapy, medical practice, stuff like that. I always thought, Yelp account is for restaurant or service-oriented businesses, and I never thought so much about how can a Yelp or reviews can help a physical therapy practice. Long story short, she gave me that idea, and I did it. Next thing I know, majority of my patients are coming from my online presence, and how just one simple idea has built my whole practice from one army to now we have a full-fledged, we are pretty small but a very busy clinic, and very busy DC, Arlington neighborhood now.
Awesome. And I think you said, you were telling me that you've gone from yourself to now, I think 4 clinicians. Is that right?
Yes, we are about 3-4 clinicians, and if everything goes well, and we are going to add one more clinic in a few months.
Fantastic. That's so exciting to hear that. I love to hear that practice growth, even in these crazy times. You've been able to continue to grow because you're really dialing in that online. I will say one thing I really admire about Ujjwal is he is a master at building trust and building his online presence. He has actually over 300 online reviews. So you can imagine him starting out as a solo practitioner and building that amount of online reviews is amazing. And what's cool is it's 136 Google reviews, over 101 Facebook reviews, over 161 Yelp reviews. And so you can just imagine, as people are seeing that online, they must go, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing, right? And he's also been really good at drilling down and getting really specific with the audience that he serves, right? So he specializes in MMA and sports rehab. That's where he really took his focus. And so now he's really dialed into that niche and very much sought after in his area. So it's amazing. And I'll also say one thing I really admire about Ujjwal, he's very marketing mindset. He's very looking at how the patient experience is out there for his practice. And you just have to go to his website, go to rehabmma.com. And you'll see he's done an awesome job with videos of people working in the clinic and working out in the clinic, how he works with treating patients. He's got lots of professional photos that he took and did inside the practice. So it makes our job easy in marketing him, because he's got all this wonderful photography and videography that he's done in the practice. And you can just imagine, as people see his online reviews and then go to his website and see this whole experience of coming into his clinic, it gets them excited, right? It gets them wanting to reach in for his services there. So definitely admire that about you, Ujjwal, there.
Well, thank you so much, Neil. And this is so important, actually. We live in a world where it's full of social media, full of online presence. Everybody has a laptop, everybody has a phone. We hardly now, back in the days, how you used to do, where do you go, how do you go? Now everything is Google now. Everything is online now, the social media now, so why don't we capitalize on that? Because all you potential patients are looking at the Google, looking at the online, looking at the social media. So you need to be very visible. Say we are what we see, So having a great website, like you mentioned, having great pictures, having a great content is very important, because before the patient steps to the door, they want to actually look at you from outside, and you better look good from there. It's a different thing. You can impress them when they come inside, but they only can come inside if they're impressed when they look from outside. So having a great website with the great content is very important. And I think very big thanks for Practice Promotions to really help me out, our clinic, on that part. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you just hit the nail on the head there when you're talking about how people perceive you today, right? It's all about,
Correct.
Think about when you need something, right? When you need a plumber or someone to help you with your garden or whatever, the first thing you do is Google, right? You're Googling for that kind of help or service. And then you start to do your due diligence. You start to look, right? You start to see, are they professional? What does their website look like? What have other people said about them before they will ever contact you, right?
Correct.
So you have to do that first. And this comes down to what we teach here with the Ultimate PT Marketing Funnel. First off is that online discovery. You got to be found. You got to be out there in all kinds of different directories on Google searches. But then that second one is really a very critical one, and that's building trust. And so the better you can build that trust with what people are saying about you through reviews, the way that you look online, are you showing up everywhere in searches? That builds a lot of confidence too. The better job you do with that, the easier it becomes to flip that person into a new patient reaching for your services. So today we're really talking about that part of the funnel, about building trust here. So for you, Ujjwal, you've also done a little bit more than just what a regular practice might do. They might just focus purely on Google reviews. And so why do you think it's important to get reviews in more than one space?
People are everywhere, so some people like Google, some people want to be in Facebook, some people are very, very coveted, Yelp guys, and somewhere else, it could be Angie's List, it could be anything, now we have a neighborhood watch or next door watch. There's so many things, so many avenues out there. People are spending so much time out there looking for suggestions, looking for recommendations, looking for reviews. That's how people operate nowadays, so it's important that I think you expose yourself to everywhere possibly, and then get your visibility out there, so by doing that, you just increasing your chance where a potential client or patients can approach you, so that's important from my standpoint. And that's what we are pretty much where we need to be. We're not everywhere, obviously, because it's almost impossible to track where you can go, but definitely Facebook, we are in Twitter too. Instagram, we had really developed our Instagram stories from this year, having great videos and great content, and that has really skyrocketed this year. You are early, a young audience are on Instagram, little middle aged are in the Facebooks, and Google is the first that you really need to be out there, and what we have done from how to increase our content is also having a lot of pictures, really good pictures, picture that tells you a story, and obviously practice promotions has helped with a lot of other content that they usually post and stuff like that. They also bring your online presence, and having a great website is always a plus, and for us, the website is a lot about who we are, and building that trust is a very important, that's a big word of trust and values, so if you don't build the trust, there is no connection, and and there is no connection, then there is no business down there, so I think, and how to build the trust is something that we try to improve from day one and before the patient even comes into play, so having a great website, having online presence makes the potential patients to seek out us. Now, when they call us, that's when the next steps follows, having great customer service, and when the patient comes to play, that's when we basically make our coming to the clinic is more like going to entertainment zone. We want to make sure they have fun. Maybe it's not just about rehab and exercise, it's about their lifestyle, it's about their having great music in the background, having a chocolate in the front, talking about their lives, let's have fun with this. I know you're in pain, but let's not cry about it, let's have more fun. So when you have a physical therapy appointment, they are excited to come here, that's the idea, and that's the nuances that we're trying to create, so that not only build the value that we're going to give it to them, but at the same time we're building the trust in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got some wonderful points there. And first off, I think coming back to what you were saying about, you really know your audience, right? Your audience, you're going after people who are in the MMA world, who enjoy athleticism. You're looking after young athletes and middle-aged athletes. And so you knew that, especially from an Instagram profile, right, and stories, that you're really having to be very visual and video, right? And that's where we are in today's society. We're quite a visual society. So you have to be able to portray all these wonderful stories that you're actually creating in the clinic, right? You get amazing results with patients, but are you telling them to the world, right? And we've got these amazing platforms where we can do that today, from your website, from your reviews, from your social media. But I think, you really nail it because you're getting it out there, right? You're making it happen.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And so let's talk. I wanted to kind of come back a little bit to the reviews part of it, because I think one thing that you do that's pretty unique that a lot of practices don't do is that you've actually tapped into using Yelp. So a couple things on this. How have you found Yelp to be helpful for your practice? And two, there are some reservations sometimes by practice owners because with Yelp, it's hard to get rid of negative reviews. Mm-hmm. So what are how would you approach both how it's helped you, and then how do you address negative reviews that could occur?
Well, that's a great question you asked. So here's my take to this. You don't ask reviews for every people, and it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. Like you said, with all these years, we have about 400 reviews, and we did not ask every one of them, so we pick and choose who we ask first. We really have to read the patient, we really have to read the psychology of it, and how many patients would come in, if you get 1% out of it, that's 1,000 reviews you're talking about in a year, but we are not even giving 1,000 reviews, right? So it's not about we don't ask everybody, first of all, you pick and choose who you ask for, and the biggest thing about the review is I don't like to use word review. It looks very cheesy. It's almost like can you do me a favor, so I'm asking for something, right? So this is the psychology part of the whole thing is instead of me saying can you do me a favor, can you write a review for us, I wanna put them on a spotlight and say hey, how about you tell your story? How about you write about your experience, how it has helped you? Now again, this is important because if I'm a patient, and somebody asks me, I can take it on offense, or I can think it's just a burden, but somebody puts me in a way that like, hey, I'm a hero of my own story, and it makes me put me in a spotlight where I can tell my story to the world, and somebody who are in the same situation can benefit from this and how I got benefited from it. Hey, I'll be more than willing to write a review, or a story, should I say? Like, I think the wording is important, like, because we are emotional human being, and we psychology plays a lot into that, So just a twist of little word, like, twist of little bit of circumstances. And the big thing, and I think I'm probably going to talk to you a little more later on too, is the timing, like, So I think I have lost so many so-called reviews in the past because I always ask on the discharge day. One nugget I'm going to give it to you: do not ask for a review on a discharge day. Right. The chance of getting a review after the discharge day is literally like 1 to none, like less than 5%, like because people have a disconnection after that discharge day, like yes, they like you, yes, they can, everybody 100% will say they will write a review in front of you because it's just the way people want to be nice in front of you, like and guess what happens? They go home and they forget. People are busy, they have life, like and they just go on, like they don't have to see you again, that they have to answer you that, oh, I forgot the review or something like that, or I'm sure I want to write a review but I didn't write a review. They have nothing to fall back into, like so do not ever ask review if you on the discharge date. I think that's what I learned the hard way, like what I do recommend. Yeah, go ahead.
Before we go on to the next thing, I got to come back to that because for a lot of our audience out there, this is a drop mic moment, right? We're so used to saying, hey, would you write us a review? But imagine getting your staff to say, would you please tell your story? That's amazing. Like, that right there is gold. So right now you can go ahead and you can start training your staff to say, don't say review anymore. Say, can you tell us your story? Right.
Those are big words, work for us, like, and hopefully it works for you guys too, like, and talking about staff, like, it's difficult you as an owner, like, because you're so invested in your business that you have more into asking for anybody you want and you can, right? And then and having staff ask you a review is another thing, like, where, like, people are shy and people are not as motivated or can be motivated, like, having a good team that who really enjoy working and have fun, and it's very important part of the trust in our employees and staff. I think that's very important.
Right.
The way I have done this and has worked for my staff is, like, I think telling them, explaining them why it is important for us to have a review. We are a very small, private practice, and I'll tell you a story, Neil. Like, we started with no physician referral. We still do not have a direct physician. Now we do a couple of them now because we've been a bit while now. People know us, like, but we don't rely on physician referral. We don't rely on any referral, actually. Like, so the whole
no physician referrals, or barely any physician referrals. It's all been going direct to the consumer.
Very, very organic, like, and I remember going to all these physicians in my early days, like, with the chocolates, like my notepad, my business cards, like door to door, door to door, door to door. Nobody cares. It didn't work, like, and that's when I think I really focus on rather than physicians. So luckily we have direct access. Then not physician or not any referral source, but my patients, my products, like, which is what we do, how we do it, and the patient itself, no middleman, like, So that's been basically our vested interest has been, and having great website and having great online presence is a must, like, And that's when we have been partnering from 2015. And having great to it. And so going back to our staff, like, so I make sure, like, they know, like, this is very important for us. Like, this is very important for us as a business. This is very important for us as a community. We rely so much on our online presence and reviews. So it's not that we ask them just more of a courtesy or something like that. It's something that we need, like, So when you build that, the value of the word of value. The word value is very important. When you keep that importance of value of review in our staff, that is important for us to have to sustain our business, and staff is more likely review to patients, because they understand that it is important. It's not something on the side. No, it is a part of it, our business. So that is also another part where I think we all are a little successful in one, asking one, and recognizing who will write a review, a 5-star review, should I say?
Yeah.
and definitely, and then we'll talk a little more later on, like in how to get a review that is not just, oh, he's the best PT or the MSR is best, like
Right.
cheesy one-liner, rather than a whole story, because the word keywords are very important,
Right.
and that's what we're going to talk a little more. Yeah.
So to kind of come back to what you're saying here, there's two things we really need to focus on from a review standpoint, right? One is three actually, because one, we're going to say, hey, instead of your review, we're going to say story. The second one is the timing of it. We don't want to ask for an online review or tell the story before at discharge, right? Because we're going to not have the opportunity to re-ask. And it may not be the best time either, right? Because let's say the patient comes in and you're working with them, and let's say visit 4 or 5, they have this amazing improvement. They're not 100% yet, but it's that aha moment where they're excited, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I can finally see a huge difference, right? That's the time to ask, right? Not at the end. That you gotta work with the emotion part of it, right?
You hit the nail. That's something I use that a lot, like an aha moment, and we do a lot of manual stuff, but at the same time we do a lot of stuff in our practice, and after 2 weeks, whenever the time is, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you end up having a lot of aha moment during a rehab. Example would be a significant range of motion improvement, a significant pain reduction, and significant strength or activation, whatever that is. There's a drastic change that happen, and the patient will say, but that's the value that you're giving it with the rehab, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the patient will say, oh, thank you so much. It really helped me. I really appreciate it. That's the time you got to ask, do you think you can tell your story about it? A person who is going through the same thing might benefit from that. People are emotional and they love you. When they say thank you, they already trust you. They already have a value that they got. I think the most important thing is the value, right? You got to give the value first. You can't be just an average Joe, or you can't just you have not done a spectacular, or you have not done anything for them to think about that you have done something good, or they're gonna say thank you, right? So you got to do something, in turn that they're saying thank you, or they're really, really appreciated what they have found in there during the rehab treatments. And that's the time to all right, can you do it? And you ask, and then the next step is keep it simple, and accessibility, don't make it super hard, go find here, go find there. A quick email, a personalized email saying hi, how you doing? This I'm sending you. So it doesn't look like automatic email, and then sending them links on where they need to do review.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that will do the trick.
Yeah. So just a couple of huge points here that you brought up. And I think this is something that a lot of practice owners just need to really, if you get your head around this, it's going to set you up for huge success, like Ujjwal has done with his branding, right? And that is that when you're asking for this story from your patient, it is an emotional time. It is an emotional thing. It is not an automated task. You have to you get you and your team to be on that moment with the patient, and then extract that emotion from them and put it online, right? So in today's world, we just rely so much on hey, I'm going to have this automated system do this for me, and I'm going to have the email backup over here, and that's fine. We do need those systems to help back us up, but it really comes down to the actual person-to-person connection in the clinic, getting that. Because at the end of the day, what kind of review do we want? Do we want the fluff and buff of, hey, this was just a wonderful experience and what a pretty place I went to, and people are really lovely? That's not the review that you want. You want that review where, hey, I came in crippled and I could barely walk, and now I'm back to running, and I never thought that was going to be possible again. That's the kind of review that you want. That's going to attract and get people to reach in like never before, right? So you really are right on there with making it this emotional connection, this personal request, right? Not an automated request.
Neil, you hit it right there. Like, it has to be emotional. We are a very emotional being, a human being. Like, and if you cannot connect, like, there's nothing to give back. Like, we have to connect at a personal level. We have to connect at the professional level, and they need to get that value first. Like, and once you connect, like, then you have a more chance of getting a 5-star review.
Yeah.
And then, then the next step comes to, like, how to make that 5-star review into a human billboard. Like, a great, like, somebody who just talks about it or rave about it all the time. That's the next step. Like, so again, it's all about psychology. It's all about, like, human connections. Like, and that is, I think that's a huge part.
And I think one thing that you've done very well, and that you've obviously trained your team to do too, is that there are certain, and this is not everybody, there are certain patients that you're going to want to really go deeper with on their story, right? And how then you can use that, of course, with their underlying permission, which most people would be happy to give, but not just an online review, right? That's where you can really, you have that amazing story that happened. They're so excited, they're so happy. What can you do from a marketing standpoint to leverage that person that's going to be your billboard out there talking for you, right? So videos, you having them write up a longer kind of testimonial that could be shared with maybe their doctors, all kinds of things that you can, put out there on today's platforms. But first, it's got to come from identifying who's the right person to get that from, right? And then having your processes, your systems, your actions in the clinic with your team, right? And training them well on what to look for, and then how to ask and get them comfortable doing it. And then it starts to happen.
No, it's right on. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And so let's, so we've gone to stories, right? The timing of it, making it that emotional timing when we're going to ask for it. And now we're talking about the teams, right? Because you can't do it all yourself, right? What happens when you have a team of 4 therapists, 10 therapists, right? If you have 5, 10, 15 clinics, what happens then? How are you going to scale this thing and make it happen? And so we still tend to come back to, like, hey, let me just make this automated system, and that's going to fix all my problems from getting online reviews. And yes, you do need those to help back you up. But let's come back to how we help our team to be on helping get these online reviews and these stories from clinics. One thing I want to kind of just put out there is who's responsible for marketing in the clinic?
Are you talking to me?
No, just in general, like everybody, right? Everybody
has to be
responsible for marketing, right? And as therapists, sometimes we don't have that hat on. We don't have our marketing hat on. And as an owner, you got to put their marketing hat on. Like, hey, you're part of the marketing team. I didn't know if you know that, but your job is to get all these amazing results for your patients and get them to tell the story, right? Help us get those stories.
So one thing I do, Neil, that I want to share with you is, like, for example, we had this raving review, right, that comes into my email, and then the next thing I do is I forward that email to all of my staff, including front desk, anybody involved there, all the clinicians, like, all the staff, like, and I thank each one of them, because it's not just the clinician itself that who has done to get that 5-star review. So it's the front desk too, and it's the other clinician too, because we sometimes share ideas and sometimes share patients based on everybody's expertise. Everybody has a little bit of some niche,
Mm-hmm.
So I send email to everybody and tell them, hey, thank you for each and every one of you, like, to make this patient's story so powerful, like, and they really appreciated us, and I appreciate that you have done such a great job, like, What this does is, like, who doesn't like to get in a pat in the back, like, who doesn't like to say to hear thank you, who doesn't like to hear job well done? Everybody does. Like, we are human beings, So by doing that, I think anybody, like, involved in my staffs, I think they will take it as a very positive, like, wow. And I like to hear that people would write their names, right? Dr. Michael, Dr. Jen, Dr. Ujjwal, whatever that is, like, has done so many things. I want to hear that, like, it makes me as a person, as a clinician, but I'm more like as a person, really uplifts me that, hey, I really put a heart out to it, and he appreciates that, and that really makes me feel great.
Yeah.
if your name is not there and somebody else's name is there, and as you are reading it, it gives you more that, like, very healthy competition. Next time email comes, my name wants to be there. Like, I want my patients to talk about me too. So you get that internal positive competition also. Like, so I channel those energy in that way. So, it becomes a healthy competitions among ourselves. Like, but at the same time, like, it also makes everybody feel that they are part of the team, part of the family. And what we are doing is really resonating, that people are appreciating towards us. And so it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's just amazing. I love that. So here we go. Ujjwal gets a wonderful review back. He sees the review that comes in from his patient. Maybe it's not his patient. Maybe it's one of his clinicians, right? They get a wonderful review. He shares that review with not only the clinician, but everybody that was involved in handling that patient. The front desk person, the tech, right?
Yep.
The billing person, like that kind of, like, what do we live for as working, right? As an employee, what are we working? We're working for validation. That's more important than money. And to know that you're part of something bigger, that you've helped people, is really what drives most, really hardworking employees. That validation, knowing that you're part of something. And like, I want you to ask yourself in your practice, how well are you validating your team by sharing those wins, by sharing those stories? Like, do you shout out people that got this amazing result? Everybody that was involved, not just the clinician, right? Are you giving props to the front desk person who actually got them to show up, right? So all kinds of
right, they're very important.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I imagine too, like, as people see that, they want it a little bit more, right? That kind of helps sometimes with a little bit of shyness that we find with our clinicians.
No, very true, very true. And like, I don't want to discount anybody, just not just the clinicians, but everybody, because when a patient is having a great experience, like, not just the rehab process, but through the whole process, the bedding process, like, the scheduling process, like, being able to park and all those things, everything is smooth, they're happy, like, then everybody needs to be told, like, they have done a great job. Like, who doesn't like to hear that they have done a great job? Everybody does. Like, we're human beings.
Absolutely. And so I can totally relate, because I remember this distinctly. I've really changed a lot personally over the decades, but I used to be a very shy person when I was younger. And I remember being in practice and learning for the first time about, like, trying to get testimonials from patients. And this was actually before there was really online reviews. So it was pen and paper, and then you would send off your success story to the doctor, right, that had referred them. But it was this whole principle of giving validation and feedback to the doctor that, hey, the patient got an amazing result, and here it is in their own words, right? But oh boy, was that tough to ask the first couple times, right? You feel weird about it. And so I think it's really healthy as a practice owner to just recognize that your staff is going to be uncomfortable the first few times that they are asking for, testimonials, for reviews, for asking for the stories from their patients. It's just a human nature. So you have to coach them through that. You have to help them. So don't just say, hey, you got to get more online reviews from your patient. That's not going to work. You have to say, hey, here's the purpose behind it. We're trying to help more people out there, for one, right? Don't you want to help more people? And don't you get amazing results with your patient? And don't they really want to help you help more people? So you get all those agreement points in place, and then, hey, let's practice a little. Let's pretend I'm the patient and you ask me for the review. Let's practice this a little bit. And then, you've got some great pointers there, Ujjwal, where you're like, let's just, instead of it being, hey, can I get your online review? Would you mind telling your story? So can we dig in a little bit more there, Ujjwal, about some of the ways that you might ask a patient for that story? Like, what would be if you're in the clinic asking a patient, or when your staff is asking a patient for that story, how would it normally go?
Well, I think first, like, if you just look at the asking part, we gotta make sure we that happy, like, you know, they have the aha moment, like, you know, and after all thing is done, then, you know, the next thing is they're gonna say thank you, right? Thank you for, hey, this is great, has been great. So when somebody says that thank you and they're happy, I know that, you know, I have somebody who potentially can give me a 5-star review. Like, you know, that's how I can tell, right? So once you recognize that particular patient, like, you know, then the next thing would be like, you know, hey, like, you know, how about you? Do you think you can write about your story about, like, you know, how it has helped you, like, you know, and we really appreciate if you could, like, you know, and if you do that, potentially somebody who is in the same boat as you are can benefit from that, like, you know, and if you could, and that'd be great, you know, and then they're gonna say yes, and everybody will say yes, you know. But before I do that, I look for people who potentially can give me, right? So I'm reading the patients, like, you know, they're really happy, you know, they're emotional, like, you know, and that person will potentially give you review, you know. And then after that conversation happened, next thing I do is immediately I send an email. Okay, I'm sending an email to you right now. So I'm going to say hi from Dr. Ujjwal, like, you know, and then I have a whole thing about copy and pasting. Then I want to make it a little personal. Hi, it was good talking to you today. Your back is feeling greater. Like, you know, can you please write about your story or experience with us? Here's a link. Boom, Yelp, boom, Google, boom, Facebook, you know. And any questions, let us know. Have a good day. Good job. And that's it. You know, so it's the same automated copy and paste. I just add a couple of words to make it very personal. Like, you know, it takes me like 10 seconds, like, you know, and I do them, boom, like, you know, and then I wait for the review, hopefully in a few days, you know. And then again, can I be 100% with the review all the time? No, like, you know, and then I give like about a 1 week. No, I don't want to bother them. So then I ask a second email saying a friendly reminder with a wink, like, you know, make it very fun. Again, I don't want to, like, you know, press them, like, you know. So friendly reminder, same thing. Hey, it was really nice conversation that really can help you. Can boom, one more time, you know. If I don't get a review back after the second time, I will not bother them again. You know, the chance of having a review after that second time is literally none. And I don't want to jeopardize our relationship by just continue asking for reviews. You know, yeah. So if I get it after that, great. If I don't get it, I don't bother. Like, you know, but I think finding the potential patient is the key. Like, you know, again, you don't have to ask everybody. Otherwise, you'll have 1,000 reviews, you know, and you probably would not have 1,000 reviews, you know. We do automatic email reviews all the time. Like, you know, we have review to us button all the time. We never get reviews from there, like, you know. So when we do that, we have like 10, 15, 20 reviews a month, which is great. That's more than most people have, you know. Yeah. And a little nugget, like, you know, and then I was told by somebody who is in computers, and I was told with the way how Google works is it's not, if you get 100 reviews in a day, like, that's not the best thing in the world. Having 5-10 reviews every month is probably the best. You need the continuation, you know. Yes. That's how the online marketing works. That's how the online presence works, like, you know, rather than a bunch of reviews at the same time. Like, you know, it should be more of a continuity, like, you know.
Yeah. Great point there. So to just kind of go a little bit deeper on that one, because now we're talking like how do the reviews help your online SEO, right? How does it help you with Google? So we're not just talking about, you know, obviously people's perception of you, but what does Google say when it comes to ranking you? And what Ujjwal is referring to there is that it's not good to get a whole wad of reviews at one time and then not have any for a long time. Google doesn't really like that. It likes to see consistent reviews, and you're looking for quality reviews rather than the quantity of reviews. Very good. Statistically, about 69% of people actually consider reviews older than 3 months non-relevant, right? So like, think about if you went to a restaurant and you're checking the reviews and you see the last one was left a year ago.
Yep.
What do you think about that restaurant? You're like, what happened? Did it go downhill or what? Right. So, you know, putting your attention on building your online presence is going to build your practice. And that really comes back to consistency. And you have to build these processes in your clinic, like making sure that people are consistently asking for reviews, that they're identifying the right people. And then kind of come back to what you were saying there, Ujjwal. I kind of boiled it down to these 4 things that you were really, you know, mentioning and getting reviews to happen with your patients, right? The first one was finding the right fit.
Yep.
Right. You know, is it Is it the patient that's going to leave a 5-star review that they're excited, they're happy, they're really outgoing, they're going to be your advocate out there? You don't want to ask for a review for every single patient, right? You want to get the ones that are going to be top quality there. And then you're looking at the the timing of asking with them, right?
That means everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're looking at how you're asking for it. And I think it comes back to the why, right? What you were saying before was like, you were giving the patient, like, why am I asking you to do this? Like, you got a great result and I want to help more people like you. You think that's important. They're going to be on your side when you ask them that way, right? So the why, right? Not just, hey, can you do me a favor?
Yep.
Tell me your story. There's really a purpose. I want to help more people like you, right? And then making it easy, right? So
Very important.
what's the simplest way? Hey, just, either I'm going to send you a quick email, just click the link, have fun with it. Or, here's our website. There's a button right there. Click that. You can just leave your review. So you have to make it easy for them for sure. So I think those 4 critical things can help you get more reviews in the clinic.
I totally agree with that. The only thing I'll add is if we were talking about I think how to get an ideal review or a better review, because not all review are same. As we're talking about, we're talking about the quality of review, So having a first 5-star review is awesome. Why not? It's a 5-star review. They are happy with you. But if you're getting a 5-star review, might as well get best possible 5-star review, right? Having more content and more keywords into it. And that's another way that when I talk to the patients, how can we get those things? Because those are important, because it's really built online presence. The way I do this is how do I use the keyword? So sometimes people will ask me, so what do you want me to write? And some people don't ask me that, but it's because I would say just write a story, And but if somebody's asked me, what do you want me to write? I was like, let's keep it very simple, just tell them what you're here for. That will bring the diagnosis. I was here for a knee fracture. I was here for a meniscal tear. And that'll go get the diagnosis keyword. And then tell them what did we do to you to help you. That will get you a bunch of keywords: dry needling, ISTM, cupping. We do a lot of techniques per se, be of blood flow restrictions. That will come into play, and they will mention all those things. Those are all awesome gold keywords, and they will talk about some of the other stuff, the front disc was great, this is great, and that will add another aspect of the keywords, So basically, as they're writing a 1 paragraph, you're getting 10 keywords, on your review, which is gold, rather than somebody saying, Dr. Jen was the best, and that's it. There's no substance into it. Yes, it's a 5-star review, but there's no substance in it. And having to explain that, and in the meanwhile, we're telling them you are the hero of your story. So focus yourself, and just when somebody's read and they can picture themselves, and they say oh yeah, that's me. And I want to go there so I can get the same treatment and same help as he did.
Right.
So that's key, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And so this is why I love talking to Ujjwal, because he's got such an awesome marketing mindset. He's taken his reviews to a whole new level. He's not just thinking about, hey, can I get this person to say something nice about what happened here? He's thinking how can I get them to put the right keywords in there so Google's going to rank this review the highest, right? So that's fantastic to think that way. And I love what you're saying there. So you're getting them to say, why they came in the first place, right? So that's going to be their diagnosis. So hey, I had excruciating back pain. I maybe have a herniated disc, or, I blew up my meniscus. I had a meniscus injury. All those are again, keywords that people are searching for out there. And then he's talking about what do we do to help you? Right. So he's trying to focus them a little bit around, can they mention they did manual therapy, they did, dry needling. So these other keywords there. And then finally, what was your transformation like, right? What could, and this is one phrase that I usually teach people too, is to get your therapist to ask the patient, what couldn't you do before that you can do now, right?
Yep.
And then that kind of shows the transformation. So you get this really rich review that's not only very powerful, in when people read it, but it's also very good for your Google SEO. I love it. That was awesome advice there, Ujjwal.
Well, thank you. And obviously I'm teaching them and coaching them just way, but when they write those things, and if I'm a clinician and I treat that patients, it's such a goal. It is such a heartwarming thing to read that you can buy with the money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's self-fulfilling, and it helps with a lot of different ways, obviously, but it also helps you as a clinician, and really staff, everybody who's involved, everybody is so happy. People do appreciate us on what we do, and it's a great job that we have, that people really we can transform people's lives, actually. So transformation of lives is very, very important, and it's a great job to have.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think, it's probably one of the most rewarding careers that one could have, to help people the way that we do. So, so Ujjwal, this has just been amazing advice here. Thank you so much for being on the call today, sharing your knowledge with all the practice owners out there who are now going to go out there and crush it on getting online stories and across Google, Facebook, Yelp, and making sure they get lots of 5-star online reviews out there for that. So any parting words of advice for practice owners out there trying to build their online presence?
For sure, Neil, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I really, really enjoy this, and thank you for putting me out here and sharing whatever I have to give you guys. And the one thing I'll tell you, we are a very small clinic. We're building more. If you can imagine us, we are in a very, very dense Arlington, Virginia, and DC neighborhood, where we have all the big clinics, we have all the big hospitals, we have all the big companies out there, and we're crushing it online. We are the top, PT clinic online, rated 3-4 years in a row, and everybody who Google is our name pops in with every keyword possible, and this is only happening because of what we do through reviews and having a great website, and if we can do it, anybody can do it, and so I wish you guys well, and yeah, just I would say having a connect patient is important. I think everybody does it, it's not that nobody does. I think everybody does it. We just have to recognize it and just let the hammer hit the nail, and get more reviews.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ujjwal. It's fantastic to have you on here. So just to kind of recap for everybody here, I want you to focus on building your online brand. That's going to build your practice. And you can go look up rehabmma.com for Ujjwal's clinic there. You go look at his online reviews. He's just got this whole thing mastered down with how he's showcasing the experience for the patient in his clinic and building this amazing online brand. So he's done a fantastic job there. And he dropped some real gold nuggets here today on how you can improve the online reviews and building the stories, and how you can showcase more of those stories that you're doing in the clinic out there with the world. So thank you so much, Ujjwal. Fantastic having you on here as always. Great talking, and saying, much success to everybody out there. It's going to be a great year coming up here, especially as you focus on going online and more direct to consumer.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks again for joining us today. Be sure to check out practicepromotions.net/power. There, listeners can download over 9 checklists and free resources made to coach you through simple, proven marketing actions to increase new patients. So check it out today. That's practicepromotions.net/power, and I'll see you next time.